Hey guys, I'm Dr. Brandon J. Loth, the Lizard Doctor, and today I'm going to talk to you guys about Bearded Dragon Complete Care. Now this video is meant for the new owner or someone who already has a bearded dragon that's trying to learn or increase their knowledge on just bearded dragon general care. Now I want to start with, when do I see a vet? This is very important, doing an annual wellness exam for a physical, doing maybe a fecal, baseline blood work, doing a pre or post brumation or hibernation exam for anyone planning on breeding. Also, if they're not eating or pooping in a week, it's important to come in. Open mouth breathing can be a respiratory sign. Diarrhea or blood in the stool, stuck sheds, eye issues, any overall health concern, I do recommend coming in. Another important factor is enclosure sizes. So babies should have a minimum of a 20-gallon long. I always recommend larger. Adults 40-gallon or larger. They should have a hide, a basking area, clean water dish, and decor for enrichment. They're terrestrial animals, so they need larger floor space, not really vertical space. And they should be kept alone because they can be territorial. And I sadly do see a lot of risks of bites and things I got to work with as a vet. Another important thing just to kind of check in and see is, as you can see, this is a 120-gallon enclosure. You can see the bearded dragon all the way down on the other side under the UV bulb. We have a clean water source in the corner. As I zoom in, we can completely submerge, bask. Obviously, if we poop in it, you do want to clean it. There's different types of climbing ropes, rocks, other stuff to go onto the bash spot. I have a wood log here. I took out the one cave in the corner just so you can see how I can move things around easily in these enclosures. You can also feed in the front corner here. I'm going to point where you can put a bowl for salad, some live insects. You can let insects free, allow the bearded dragon to chase after it. I don't recommend leaving too much in the enclosure because they can potentially try to bite the bearded dragon. So there's different things there. As we transition over here, substrate is a big thing you hear in the community. Paper towels, Repta carpets, tiles, other liners are completely fine. One key thing that a lot of people know, because they don't know the veterinary side, is there's a virus called adenovirus that if a bearded dragon has, they should not be on any substrate. However, if they are negative, they could potentially benefit from the enrichment of, say, a wash play sand, a bioactive enclosure that might be symbiotic and helpful. Different things to think about when you own your bearded dragon. Obviously, getting it tested potentially. Lighting is another very important factor with having 12 hours on or 12 hours off. Also, changing all your UVB bulbs out every 6 months to have an appropriate level of UVB is very important for your bearded dragons, just for an appropriate light source, ND3. As being very important. Now here I'm going to cover some very good bulbs. So Mega Ray, you can also see Zoo Med also has a mercury vapor bulb. This now has heating and UVB. So you can see the bearded dragon here, UVA, UVB. It's 160 watts. So it's definitely powerful, has a high strength. All these boxes have distances and measurements on them for how far you should keep your animal. That is very key because there is a danger zone and there's also a safe zone. So you don't want to get into that danger zone. So make sure you know the distance of whatever bulb you're using. This is very key and helpful. There's different languages here. If you might not speak English, you can see the German aspect. There's French, Spanish, Italian, a lot of different things you can see on these different boxes. That's one I definitely like to recommend. Obviously, then we have Arcadia and Zoo Med. These T5 bulbs are some of the great bulbs. I don't really recommend bearded dragons to have a T8 because they have to be very close to the bulb to actually get the strength that they need. So these are the new 14% Arcadia bulbs. There is a 12% bulb. Just make sure you have the distances to be appropriate. Obviously know that screens and glasses can filter them out. These are just some hoods that I put my T5s in when I mount them, and they have reflectors, so that can amplify the strength. So potentially having a UVB monitor to know what this amplified strength is very key as well. I do have another video on YouTube just talking about the UVB, how light filters different distances and distances for bearded dragons. So I do recommend you checking that out just for a fine-tuned detail just on UVB bulbs. But this is very important for your overall health and function of your bearded dragon. Now here's just some setups I have showing just the T5 Zoom Ed bulb. I mount it to the top of a custom melamine enclosure. Now if you don't have a custom enclosure and you have a screen top, or potentially have an ability to mount it inside the screen top, here again is just one of those 14% Arcadias, mounting them to the top. It's very key and important to also position your basking bulb that I have mounted over here to be angled under the UVB source. Now if you have one of the mercury vapor bulbs, you don't really have to worry about that because it's 2-in-1. But see over here the UVB bulb, and I have that basking light just positioned off to the wrong direction, just to show you don't want your lizard basking too far away. You want it in that distance. So I see turned it back in right under our basking spot. Heating is very important for proper metabolism. You want that 100 to 105, and I have other details here on just the appropriate kind of temperatures for your bearded dragon. Now this is very, as you want the appropriate temperatures also on the cool side. You never want your bearded dragon to potentially overheat, and you don't want it dropping below 65 because they can go into a stupor. This can cause digestive issues and potentially illnesses in your bearded dragon. So temperature and heating is very important because they cannot maintain their own temperatures like you and I can. Now humidity is another important factor. Bearded dragon should be kept between that 20 to 40% range. This is important for maintaining hydration. You can put a hygrometer in the enclosure. You can potentially mist to stimulate drinking. A moving water source is also very good, as well as weekly soaking. So as you can see here, one of those larger water bowls. This is a juvenile Whipplet's bearded dragon that actually loves to swim around. Put the fresh water source in. We swim around for maybe 5-10 minutes in this lukewarm water. We then, of course, like to do our routine poop in it. So then I obviously then have to change it out, put it back in. But generally for this one, we like to play and swim right when I put it in. So I have a routine of about once a day we go swimming like crazy. Even as we've grown older, we still kind of do this. I actually had to get even one of the larger corner bowls because we weren't even really able to turn too well. But this is another good enrichment source for your bearded dragon. Fresh water source is key. You can do waterfalls if your bearded dragon needs stimulation and movement. Other ones can just jump in. You can also do little electrolyte soaking, other things to just add appropriate nutrients. If they drink this water, then again, they do this. It's a little bit iffy on cloacal drinking, but it can't hurt to do that. Now moving forward to kind of feeding and other requirements. I do recommend that babies sometimes even be fed twice a day, to where adults maybe sometimes 1 to 2 times a day or as needed. So that's definitely with some veggies, greens. I'm going to go over crickets as a main food source. Very key. You can do these house crickets. Banded crickets is another good food source. Dubia roaches can be another great food source. These are some small little nymphs. You can do larger ones depending on the size of your bearded dragons. I do want to preface, there are snacks like superworms. Superworms should not be a main food source. Maybe for handling or outside the enclosure, they're not too healthy. You can see all these mealworms. These are like eating Snickers. I can't say enough. They should be snacks, not a main food source. Balance your greens. Bearded dragons are omnivores, so they will eat plants and insects. So this is key. You can offer different times, rotating greens in the morning, insects in the afternoon. Again, I have main food sources and snack options, and then greens, mustard greens, collard greens, a bunch of other things for a healthy bearded dragon. Also enrichment, like I said, swimming, time outside the enclosure. You can make mazes. You can do a lot of things for enrichment for these bearded dragons, and it's very helpful for stimulation. Here's another part I want to focus on. Is my bearded dragon a male or female? There are some characteristics, especially as they get older, to help you tell this out, and I'm going to discuss some. So first, femoral pores. As adults, typically males have larger femoral pores. Yes, females can get clogged ones. They can get larger, but this is not always 100%, but one way. Hemipene bulges. As males get larger, they kind of bulge out a little bit for the hemipenes. You can tell that. You can also obviously have hemipenes in the males. Dewlap coloration. Now, obviously, if a bearded dragon's stressed, this won't help. But obviously, we can also have your veterinarian help you out or a breeder. Thank you for watching this, and please subscribe for more videos to come. Thank you.